Hey, what's up, y'all? It's poppin'. It's D. About to react to this vid by Maury. This is teen mom leaves her baby alone for 6 days and returns home to find her dead. I have no words. Like, what? This is why I am pro-choice, to be honest. There are a lot of people who should not be having children. This is really sad. Anyway, let's see what happens. Let's watch.
Bro, I'm drained. I'm tired. I done that video because I've had enough of seeing my mum cry, her child's going missing, my younger sister's out here, no one knows what she's doing. She could be with big men, nobody knows, do you know what I'm saying? I had enough. I'd actually had enough.
Now, when Verfi Cootie turned 18 years old, she decided to go out partying as any 18-year-old girl would on her birthday. It's an expected outcome for any teenager at that age.
The 6 days?
However, the problem is that party lasted for 6 whole days, and unbeknownst to most people, Verfi abandoned her little baby girl during this time. And surely enough, after she completed her 6-day birthday trip, she went back home to check on her little one, and unfortunately, this little one had passed away.
You couldn't find nobody?
Prior to this incident, Verfi Cootie from Brighton, England, had a low-profile lifestyle, at least based on reports from local media. In fact, little was known about her childhood or adolescence, but anyone who knew her well knew she had a significant share of struggles growing up. But they just didn't expect things would go this far. At an early age, Verfi was exposed to domestic violence, which led her to developing post-traumatic stress. Then in her teens, she experienced a major shift that her mother started observing after Verfi turned 14. Her mom says she used to describe her as a happy child, but then she stopped communicating with her family and started spending more time away from them. Verfi then stopped caring about school and would skip out on school without a problem. And ultimately, not only would she skip out on school, but sometimes she would skip out on coming home, as when she was 15 years old, she was missing for 2 weeks. And as a consequence of her constant misbehavior and juvenile delinquency, social services in England placed her in a safe home for minors, not knowing that in this place, she was going to be sexually abused after being there for only 6 months. 6 months, which subsequently led her to becoming pregnant. With such an eventful record, Verfi's life was on the verge of a major disaster. But by the time she turned 18, she no longer lived at the safe home, but instead, she was in a sheltered accommodation with a baby to take care of. The baby she got from being sexually abused, her little daughter, Asaya, who was only 20 months old at the time. However, when Verfi turned 18, she was really thrilled about finally becoming a legalized adult in the eyes of the law. So excited that she decided to leave her baby alone while heading out to London in her flat on December 5th, 2019. The next day, though, she met with her boyfriend and some other friends, and when they asked about Asaya, Verfi would say that her mom was taking care of her. But obviously, we know that's not the case. 2 days later, though, she went to a 90s themed concert, and by the 5th day, she went to another city for another friend's birthday. However, it wasn't until the 6th day, on December 11th, 2019, that she finally decided to go back to her flat. And upon arriving to her building, she even decided to take out the trash before checking on her baby girl Asaya.
Her baby wasn't even 2.
By late afternoon, she finally called 999 to tell local law enforcement that her child was not waking up. And surely enough, when the paramedics arrived, they found an incoherent, distressed, and distraught version of Verfi. At first, Verfi told them that her baby had been sick for a couple of days, and paramedics immediately rushed the baby to the hospital, only to be pronounced dead shortly after arrival. And when this incident was made public, the local news in England quickly made headlines that made Verfi responsible for this child's death. And it was subsequently confirmed that the baby died from a combination of starvation, ketoacidosis, and influenza, which are effects of her clear abandonment. Verfi then tried to cover up her negligence by elaborating a series of stories to tell everyone about how her daughter had been sick and how she had been by her side. But social media and CCTV cameras promptly confirmed that she had been partying hard, living her life to the fullest, while her daughter was left alone in a flat for 6 whole days by herself. There's even one video that shows Murphy at an event in London where a DJ announces her birthday to the crowd. However, Murphy's family was not ready to absorb these claims as the absolute truth.
Up till now, nobody knows the full story on how my niece passed away. We was told she passed away a different way. We was told her cause of death was something different. No one knows. No one knows how she actually passed away. But obviously, all will be revealed in it. I pray my God reveals all. I pray it all comes out in court and my niece gets the justice she deserves. Do you understand?
They were convinced that Murphy was innocent and that the system had failed them, which is surprising considering Murphy also lied to them. On the day of her birthday, Murphy actually canceled plans with her family, saying that she was feeling ill and that she couldn't spend time with them. She even pushed the excuse to get money from her mom for medical expenses, money that she just wanted to use for booze, clothing, to, just have a good time with her friends. But the one part of Murphy's story that raised the most suspicion was the 3 hours she spent in her flat before she called the paramedics. Because if you think about it, there's CCTV footage that shows her taking out some garbage at around 3:30 in the afternoon of the day she finally went back home. This is the first major thing she did after going back home. But any person naturally, after being 6 whole days away from their baby, would go on to check on that child. I mean, I'm sure that's what most of us listening or watching would do, right? Realistically speaking, how long would it take for her to find out that her baby was dead? Surely it shouldn't take that long for her to find out that her baby is no longer alive and to call 999 instantly after finding out that fact. But clearly, that wasn't the case for Murphy, as she didn't call the paramedics until 6:20 p.m. that afternoon, 3 whole hours after she arrived home. And based on the limited information we have out here in the public, it seems as though that nobody really knows what she did in those 3 hours. But there's a piece of evidence that shows that she went on Twitter to sell tickets for a concert within that time frame. And I know just hearing that might sound a little bizarre, but based on public records, this is what actually happened. Judge Lang, the judge presiding over this case, said it best when Murphy came before her in court. The judge said, and I quote, "It's quite clear to me, the event for you to abandon your child for almost 6 days was not stress, but a desire to celebrate your birthday. You chose to prioritize your desires over the needs of your child. She was a helpless child who relied completely on you for her needs. You wanted the life of an 18-year-old over the life of a young mom with a child. You knew full well you should not be doing what you did. It is almost unbearable to contemplate her suffering in the final days of her life, suffering she endured so you could celebrate with your friends. She was a baby. It was your duty as a mother to protect her, not to abandon her. You caused her unimaginable physical suffering." End quote. And as you can pretty much tell, the judge presiding over this case was completely disgusted at Murphy's actions. Moreover, the judge pointed out that Murphy still tried to lie to cover up her crime, and just like everyone else around the world, she did wonder what Murphy did in those 3 hours before calling the paramedics. And what many people didn't expect was that the court found out through CCTV footage that Murphy had already abandoned her baby multiple times prior to the birthday incident. As on October 23rd of that same year, Murphy actually left her baby alone for 7 hours and 18 minutes to attend another birthday party in Brighton. Then on November 7th, she left Asaya alone for 10 hours and 37 minutes. And on November 9th, Murphy left for 17 hours and 13 minutes, followed by another 33-minute escapade on the same day. But based on all this CCTV footage, it seems like a recurring event where birthday parties were the events that made Murphy leave for longer periods of time. On November 23rd, she left for 2 days, 5 hours and 51 minutes just to go to another birthday party. And on November 28th, she left again for 11 hours and 35 minutes. And sadly, by this time, baby Asaya had learned that crying did not help, which explains why no one around heard the baby's sounds. Even a pediatrician confirmed during the court hearings that babies like Asaya tend to stop calling out for help once they realize that no one is paying attention to them. But finally, in March of 2021, Murphy Cootie pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and in August of that same year, she was sentenced to 9 years in prison. As for the family, they finally came to terms with the situation and asked for some privacy. not before highlighting the fact that they were sad about losing their beloved Asaya and about everything that led Murphy to this fatal scenario. In their statement, they said, and I quote, "We're saddened by the current situation, and as a family, we have many unanswered questions. Murphy has experienced so much at a young age, and we've always done what we can to support her. As a family, we are in the midst of an unbearable tragedy. Not only are we coming to terms with what has happened today, but we are also still grieving for our beloved Asaya. We would be grateful if our privacy can be respected at this moment." End quote. While there's no way to justify the actions of what Murphy Cootie did when she was 18 years old, it's pretty evident that her reckless behavior was a product of the past traumas she experienced when she was a younger woman. Did she love her baby? That's debatable. Did she try to take matters into her own hands prior to calling for professional help? It seems like these questions will never get an answer, but the court had more than enough evidence to confirm that Murphy Cootie was a negligent mother and in a court of law and public opinion deserved prison.
Wow, this was really, really heavy. Just imagining this child suffering for 6 days straight is just so sad. And this teen mom had a really traumatic life. Obviously, that doesn't excuse what she did. This was terrible. She shouldn't have left her child alone for almost a week to go party. Like, what the fuck? You know, it's just sad to, know that she got raped and then had her rapist baby. This was her rapist baby. And I feel like the system really failed her. They didn't speak on if she wanted to have this baby. Usually when people are raped and they get pregnant, they don't want the child. The child is going to be a constant reminder of them getting sexually assaulted. And they can take out their resentment on the child. So they usually don't want to keep a child that occurred from them being raped. So they didn't speak on, if she wanted to abort the baby or if she couldn't. Maybe she found out too late. Maybe she was too far along when she found out she was pregnant. Because she's smaller, and my sister is slim like her as well, and it took her a really long time to show. So it's possible she didn't know she was pregnant, and then she just felt like she had to keep it, or she couldn't abort it, or maybe, she didn't believe in abortion, but just really didn't want the child. Like, there are just so many things that could have occurred. I just feel really bad for everybody involved, and it's just a really sad situation. I can't imagine what this child went through. This was really heavy. Y'all let me know what y'all thought. Let me know what other videos you want me to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!